that she couldn't hear. I had muted it before when I was putting on my mic, and I forgot to turn it on again. Ah! I'm so sorry. Okay. Can you hear me now? Let's go back. Let's rewind. I'm going to go back to the start of my presentation again now. Sorry, guys. If I can figure out how to do that. Let me go back to the start here. Oh my goodness, how sad. All right, we're starting again, everybody. Great ideas and brainstorming. So, I've just been talking about great ideas and brainstorming for a few minutes, but I will start again because I wasn't mic'd up properly, and this is the joy of live streaming. I'm sorry, everyone. But hi, I'm glad you're here. I'm Charlotte Glaze. I'm an author, illustrator, mom, creative person. And I'm going to talk to you today about how to get good ideas for your next story or illustration or creative project. And we're going to do a little brainstorming activity in a few minutes. Before we get started, though, I just wanted to let you all know that I have a book on Kickstarter right now, Storm Trucks. I'd love for you to just check it out and see if it's something that's interesting to you that you'd like to support. So let's get started. Getting ideas. Where do you get ideas? Where do they come from? I'm going to tell you, you can get ideas anywhere, lots of places, but the trick is to write them down. The trick is you got to catch those ideas when they come flying through your brain. Because for kids, kids get like 20 amazing ideas a day probably. They're always taking in new stuff that they've never experienced before, and they're putting it together with stuff they do know, and they come up with these wild, fun ideas. And adults, our brains are not quite as flexible. They're more filled with junk. All the things we have to do, all our daily stuff just gets in the way. But when we do have an idea, we can just grab it and write it down. That's the biggest trick. Get your paper, get your pen, and write down those ideas. But there's also great exercises that we can do to help spur ideas when we're feeling a little like stuck. So we're going to do a few brainstorming activities in a few minutes. But first, I just want to tell you, like, I put mine in my phone because my phone's always with me. So I have in my notes app, I have a writing ideas list, and I just put it at the bottom of the list. Just add another thing to the list. And I also have an illustration ideas note in my notes app. And then when I'm ready to do a new idea, I can go through those ideas and see if any of them are something that I want to do. I just did a workshop on ideation with my friend Kara Mitchell, who is another illustrator, and she keeps it all in a notebook, like a real paper notebook, and she writes down or she draws or she glues things into this notebook. And then she has this really great idea. Once a year, she takes a day and she goes through her entire notebook and takes a new notebook and writes down the ideas that she really wants to keep. Because she could have a billion ideas, but you don't really want all of them after you've let them sit for a few minutes. Sometimes you write down something and you have no idea what it meant like a day later because you only wrote 2 words. So try and write a little bit more so you kind of get more of the idea out. But I understand it's hard. I have some in my idea list that don't make any sense now either, unfortunately. So those ideas can get lost because we don't write enough about them to start with. So sometimes I have a few words, sometimes I have a paragraph. The paragraph ones are more easy to understand later. So just keep that in mind when you're writing down your ideas. Okay, let's see. Oh, I wanted to also share with you like how I got my idea for my book that I have on Kickstarter right now, Storm Trucks. And it's about a little boy who's afraid of thunderstorms. And in order to deal with that fear, he uses his imagination and imagines that trucks are in the sky making the loud thunder and lightning and all the noise. And that helps him deal with his fear in a positive way. So, how did I get this idea? Because my son loved trucks at the time and was afraid of thunderstorms. And one day, during a thunderstorm, when he was afraid, because we had been watching all these truck shows and playing trucks all day, every day, and reading books about trucks, trucks were in my head already. And then when we heard those loud noises from the clouds, I was like, it sounds like trucks are up in the sky. And that idea really helped my son get through that fear himself. And I said, well, if I write a story about this, this might help other kids get through that fear as well. So if you're interested, that book is on Kickstarter right now, and the link is in the comments. I'll drop it in just one more time, just in case it got lost there. Let me paste that in there. So that's the link to the Kickstarter. And now we're going to start a new part of the session. Now that I've done all my idea talk again for the second time, we're going to do brainstorming together. Now, I have a few ideas. To start us off, though, you need a piece of paper. So get yourself some paper. Get yourself a pen. We're going to do this together. And I was trying to find a shorter timer, but I could only find a 1-minute timer or a 5-minute timer. And so I decided that the 5-minute timer was better. So we're going to do 5 minutes after we do our first activity. So one way to get ideas that you didn't think of before is like to take Pictionary cards or some other game that has like random words, and you can take words off the cards, like pick a card at random, and then you're going to take a word off that card. And we're going to combine it with another one. So, okay, I can't see the card. I'm going to pull this one. Our story is going to be about a dog, okay? Dog is our first word. So write dog down on your paper. And then our story is going to be about, okay, here's an action word. Let's see. Retire. Okay, so something about dog and retiring. And then we're going to have one more word to add some zing into our story. Let's see. Our next word is slipper. All right, slipper. Okay, so dog, retire, slipper are our words. And we're going to take 5 minutes. We're going to write a list of ideas about dog, retire, slipper. And you don't need to use all the words if you don't want to. This is going to be pure brainstorming to start with. Just as many ideas as you can come with. I would really like you to think about problems, so because that will really help with our next activity. Okay, 5 minutes. Here we go. 2 minutes left. Okay, that's our first 5 minutes, guys. Now, what I want you to do is look over those ideas really fast, and we're going to pick one of those ideas, and when we pick one of those ideas, we're going to do our next activity, which is starbursting. We're going to ask who, what, where, when, why, how about that idea that we came up with so far. So does anybody want to share one of their ideas that they've had yet, or we can share in a little bit? I came up with some weird ones, but let's just look over our list here for a second, and then let's do our next activity, and we can share how our ideas changed at the end, okay? So let's see. All right, I'm going to start the timer, and we're going to ask those questions about one of our ideas that we wrote down. Here we go. Keep asking those questions. Who, what, where, when, why, and how does your story take place? 2 minutes. All right, almost done. Finish your last idea. All right, time is up. I hope you're getting some great ideas from this. My idea is looking more interesting than it was at the start, and it's a completely different idea than I had thought about making. So we're going to do one more activity. This is Crazy Eights. The idea is to do 8 minutes and you get 8 solutions to your problem. So if you had a problem in your story, try and come up with 8 different ideas that can solve this problem. And I've just realized that my story so far doesn't really have a good problem. So maybe I will spend this, we're going to do 5 minutes because that's what my timer can do. Maybe 5 solutions in 5 minutes. So maybe I'll come up with a problem, 5 problems, because I didn't come up with good problems before about the idea that I picked. So, all ready? Here we go. One more minute. Time is up. I hope that you had some great ideas come out of this. And maybe they're not ones you're going to use, but I know I felt my brain growing and coming up with new ideas. Like once you got to a certain point in the brainstorming process, about 3 minutes in, which is good because I was going to just do 3 minutes, but then you have to start reaching for wilder ideas, more unique, more interesting ideas. And at that point is when your brain starts to really kick into gear. So I hope this helped you. Tell me in the comments if you had a great idea and what your idea was. I'd love to share our ideas now. I can share the one that I was working on. Remember, our words were dog, slipper, and retire. So my first idea that I went with was the dog wearing slippers, and I made the slippers into ballet shoes that he takes over from a ballerina when she retires. And so I was working on that idea and asking questions about, like, why did the ballerina stop dancing? Why does the dog want to start dancing? So anyway, there's a lot of fun things to think about with that idea. Does anybody else have any fun ideas to share? If you don't, that's all right. And if you watch this later, not in the live stream, feel free to leave those ideas as comments below. I'd love to hear them. And I hope this helped you. And remember, before we leave, I just want to remind you that my book, Storm Trucks, is available on Kickstarter right now. Check out the link below. I would love for you to just take a look and see if it's something that is interesting and that you'd like to support. Have a great day, and thanks for joining me. Bye.